I remember I had it with my family. Everybody was just out of control, and I was just freaking done with all of them. And I was just like, that's
done
it.
with you.
Oh, no. I was like, I am out of here. I am leaving. I don't know when I'm coming back, but I'm leaving. And I got in the car and I left and I just drove. And I was like, okay, do I want to go stay at a hotel? And I was gone for a good maybe couple hours because I also wanted to make them sweat at that point too. I was just like, I have to get out of here and they need to understand that I'm serious. And I came back, my husband was like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, why? He's like, well, we were worried about you. I'm like, well, thank God.
Stop getting on my nerves.
Oh my God. I was just like, I am done with you people. I am out.
That's funny. So my mom did that. She did that. I was in high school, so this was in the 80s. But she was gone for 7 days to Puerto Vallarta by herself. She was done.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
No, she was dead. And at the time, I was like, that's weird. Why is mom going on this vacation by herself? Not taking her husband.
And now you're like, oh, girl, of course.
And come to find out, she was having marital problems with my stepdad. And so it all kind of made sense. But I have this picture of her with this big sombrero on, and she's just sipping a margarita. And I'm like, yes, queen. Yes. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. Today, I am drinking one of my favorite things. If you guys have been here a minute, you know that iced tea is one of my favorite drinks, and I am drinking a half-day lemon tea.
More.
It has a...
Over. Keep going. Can't see it. Hey, there we go. Okay.
There it is.
Got it.
New era iced tea. It has a little bit of lemon, has prebiotics, only 3 grams of sugar. It says good for your gut. I don't know. But
I have questions.
It's very refreshing, so I love it. What are you drinking today?
Well, this is interesting. I think I kind of like it. So I'm drinking, so last time I had that recess margarita and I was like, eh. This is a Recess Zero Proof Island Spritz. Guayusa adaptogens. I probably butchered that, likely sparkling. I like it better than the other one. It's a little weird on my tongue though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now I'm feeling 3 out of 10, but we'll see. I don't know. Okay. Recesses has not been doing it for me lately. I the first stuff of theirs I tried I really liked. The last couple,
Yeah, you need to stick to certain flavors.
Yeah. I try to be adventurous, I kind of feel this responsibility to go to these stores and be like, ooh, pretty thing. Let me try it because I'll do a review and blah, blah, blah. And
listeners, today we're going to talk about a book that probably everybody has heard about because they turned it into a movie. So if you didn't read the book, I did not, full transparency, but I did see the movie.
Yeah.
But I would say most women have heard of it. And if not, where have you been?
So brace yourself, listeners, because when I throw this number, it's going to hit you. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Eat, Pray, Love, the book. Yeah, I know when I saw that number, I was like, holy crap.
20 years. I mean, I can't even, that's just blows my mind. You know how when you think about time and you're like, oh yeah, the 1990s was 5 years ago?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Totally.
I feel the same when I think about this. So 20 years since Elizabeth Gilbert published the memoir that half the world suddenly wanted to quit their jobs and go off on a fun traveling adventure, buy a one-way ticket to Italy, eat a ton of pizza, and get some spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah, and if you guys I think it was the last episode, maybe it was the one before. I don't know. It's all rolling into one, but check out our Living Abroad series, part 1 and 2, because we have some peeps that actually did that, and it was really cool conversation that actually took us in places I don't think either one of us were expecting. So super cool episodes. I'll drop those in the show notes. So yeah, so women were out there just kind of thinking about their life choices and binging on pasta and trying to figure out what was going on. So we're going to look back at really just the cultural moment part of it and why it resonated with so many women. There was criticism, naturally, and whether the message still holds up 20 years later.
Yes. And of course, as we near the end, we're going to ask the important question. If we did our own Eat, Pray, Love journey, what would that really look like?
Yeah.
That's kind of a something fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Drinks with the girls, like travel. I love it. I'm totally there for it. Okay, so let's rewind to 2006, which was, God, I can't, 20 years ago. What the hata? Oh, okay, so to kind of like get you in the mood, right? Not that mood, this mood. Social media is barely a thing. Instagram doesn't exist, and suddenly this hits the shelves.
And it absolutely explodes. And it's funny because if you listen to Liz Gilbert talk about this, she had zero expectation that it was going to do what it did.
Yeah.
Like she was a writer beforehand, but she never, ever anticipated that this was going to blow up like it did. 18 million copies
That's
sold,
crazy.
translated into more than 30 languages, and sat on the bestsellers list for months. So let's just say something about it resonated for women, triggered them, or inspired them, or whatever, but it definitely struck a nerve.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, I would definitely say she wasn't a celebrity at the time, for sure. So it wasn't like this celebrity memoir or some kind of like Michael Crichton novel, right? It's one woman writing about like rebuilding her life after divorce. So it's interesting to me that hit as hard as it did when it did. Because obviously we're still having that conversation. That's kind of how this podcast started.
Right. And I love that you brought up our episode on the women that we've talked to who literally moved abroad because something needed to change, something needed to shift, and they made this big choice. And I think the parallels between that and this book are great. You know, it's interesting. I had no idea she used to write for men's magazines. Like before she wrote this book, she wrote for GQ, Esquire. So she really, she wrote for men. And I think this memoir was just like her own spiritual journey that she needed to go on. And I think she just wrote it for herself, basically, not ever anticipating that, it was going to do what it did. But, the premise is simple. Elizabeth Gilbert, she realizes her life's not working anymore. And I mean, how many of us have been in that exact same situation?
Raise your hand if.
Is not working. She goes through a painful divorce, and then she decides to take a year to travel. And like, what a privilege, by the way. Like, let's just point it out right now. Like, not everybody has the ability when their life is in the shitter to be like, hey, I think I'm going to spend a year traveling.
You guys just like take out from Costco. I'll be back in like, a while. So, and it's in 3 chapters, like they're big chapters, right? So Italy is her pleasure one, India for spirituality, and then Indonesia for balance and love.
Yeah. And so the title basically tells you the whole story.
Yeah. But I do think that it wasn't just the travel that people connected with this on. I think it was, she was very honest about it. Like, I mean, it's been a while since I've read the book, but I mean, she was basically like, yeah, my life is a shit show and I need to get out of here and like figure out what's going on. And she was very honest. This was not like and then I went to India and I found myself and everything's fine. Like she talks about openly just depression, confusion, feeling like, what was this life that I built? It wasn't mine. I mean, she gets pretty real in there.
Did you read the book?
I did ages ago. And I didn't see the movie. So we've got
You did not.
I did not see the movie.
Interesting.
So we have each side.
Yeah, I love that. Because I keep thinking of the part in the movie early on when Julia Roberts, she's laying on the floor. Her husband is in the bed and she's on the floor, and she's just really coming to the harsh reality that this life doesn't fit anymore. And if I have any chance of happiness, something big needs to change, and this is really going to hurt. It's going to be very painful for a lot of people. And I mean, that's not a fun place to be in.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's something that a lot of women can relate to on some level, right? It's like just waking up and going, "Oh my gosh, whose life am I living, or where the hell am I?"
Yeah. And I don't think she definitely didn't set out to do this, but one of the things this book did was it created this whole solo travel for women thing, right? And it really impacted the culture, and women started talking about it and doing it. Like I don't remember solo female travel being a thing like in the 90s. I mean, people would be like, "Are you crazy? Like you're going to get mugged," you know? And I think that was a big part of it too, was she was just like, "Nope, I'm going to do it."
And I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just thinking that I'm assuming, that, yeah, not only is it not maybe wasn't the safest for women. And I mean, of course, I don't know, safety is kind of relative. You have to make sure you have your wits about you. You have to make sure you know where you're going, what you're doing, when, and have confidence, but also like was it acceptable for women to travel solo back then? Like socially,
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we couldn't even get credit cards till what, 1974 or so.
Yeah, and I do
There's the
remember
financial piece.
I remember back, like, God, I'm just trying to think when I started doing more travel for work, probably around that time, maybe a little bit before. I do remember people are like, "Wow, you're gonna do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got to go on a work trip," you know? So it wasn't something that people were like, "Oh, yeah, it's no big deal."
And I think especially if you're not raised, like if your family doesn't travel a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
when you're young, you're just not used to that. The planes and the
Yeah.
what is it? Planes, trains,
So
automobiles,
automobiles. Oh,
and
yeah.
all the glitches that can happen. Because let's keep it real, like traveling is not always like sunshine and roses. Things happen. Luggage gets lost. You find yourself in a undesirable neighborhood or whatever.
Or,
Um,
the biggest storm to hit the Hawaiian Islands since God knows how. Yes, I just came
well,
back
yeah.
from Hawaii, which sounds so glamorous, just not at all. Toes did not hit the sand, and I barely got out of there without, like, getting blown away by the wind, and it was intense. So, yeah, he kinda just he gotta roll with it, basically.
Yeah, and so I think the one thing that this book did was it made traveling as a woman solo kind of more mainstream. Like it gave women the
Yeah.
permission slip. Like, hey, if this is something you want to do, look what I did.
Yeah, and they definitely like, travel companies started catering to that. I know Smith, my college that I went to has always done trips for a long time where you can go as a solo woman, and that it's a tour, and they get like people that are really knowledgeable about the art or whatever it is you're trying to see. But I don't remember other stuff being like that. And now it's like you can do it, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yoga retreats. I've been on surf
Oh,
retreats,
fun.
right? Riding retreats. There's like this whole quote unquote finding yourself tourism
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
happened.
And I do think that this book sparked a lot of it, and just having, reading a book is an intimate thing. Like we kind of talk about that with this podcast, right? It's just us and your earbuds, you know? I think a book is an experience that you have kind of time to roll this over in your head and think about things. And so I can totally see that being an epiphany for people where they were like, okay, wait a second. I either need a break from my life or I need to change it entirely.
We've talked about this several times on the podcast. It's just that permission to pivot.
Mhm.
Like things are not working out the way that we thought they would. And so a change needs to be made.
Yeah. And she talks about that
Um,
concept of the permission slip for sure. Like that phrase in the book.
I went and saw her live. I saw her and Martha Beck. And I think this was right after she had written Big Magic. So it was a little bit after Eat, Pray, Love. But she did that with us. She did an exercise where we all wrote permission slips to ourselves for different things. And I mean, it's powerful. And I think the idea, that's one of the things that we as midlife women need to see more of. My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers. And at the end of the day, we can only give the permission slips to ourselves. It's not like we can get it from outside of ourselves.
Yep.
But I think just the idea of it's okay. Like here, take this, until you're ready to give yourself permission, here, take mine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because we didn't set out to do this episode to make it a book review, but I guess it is kind of a book review in a way, I mean, it was a book and it is a movie and we are talking about it. So I suppose 1 and 1 make 2, but I don't think it's the way we normally do our book reviews where we both read it and we kind of talk about that. But I do think that one of the reasons the 20th anniversary piece is coming up, and I'll pin the article that we kind of got this from in the show notes, is that it still holds up, is really what I think a lot of people are saying. Like this isn't like an artifact. Like this book is still really speaking to women, which I think is super cool.
Well, it's like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's not only, a book for entertainment's sake. It is literally, like women were going on their own journey. They were going on their own eat, pray, love journeys.
Yep.
And, Elizabeth Gilbert talked about how at first it was really strange. She's like, because women were literally replicating every single thing. They wanted to go eat this pizza.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she felt kind of weird about it.
That's a little performative.
She's just like, hey, you need to go on your own spiritual awakening. She's like, don't do what I did, but ask the questions I asked. But then she realized even if somebody totally did every single thing that she did, they still were not going to end up where she was. They're going to end up where they were supposed to be. So at the end, she became okay with it. She's like, that's fine. If you want to just totally do my whole eat, pray, love, great. But you might want to kind of just do your own.
Yeah. And I don't know that the hot guy will be served up on a plate at the end either. So, and it's kind of sad. I think they split up, which is a bummer.
Well, no, they totally split up. She broke up with him after, I think they were married like 12 years.
Yeah.
Because she fell in love with her best friend.
Oh, see, I didn't read this epilogue piece.
Yeah, so she broke up with him, and then I don't know if they ever got married, she and her partner, but her partner ended up dying of cancer.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
No, it was not great. But so then she went on this whole other spiritual journey with that, and then she wrote a book after that, and then she got a lot of criticism because people were saying, well, you just used your lover's death as,
oh, come
content, or there always has to be some kind of backlash. So
of course, she can't just like write because she's a good writer and she wants to talk. Good Lord.
Yeah. And now it's interesting. And this is, I feel like, the wisdom that comes. I think she's in her 50s, but she says, the food, the pleasure, because she wrote Eat, Pray, Love when she was 34. Yeah. So yes, like the food and just and the rest piece. There was that quote, I don't know what it is in Italian, but it's the art of doing nothing. Like that was really a big
Così
deal.
fa niente.
There we go. The parallels between what she talks about and what we've talked about on this podcast are pretty cool. So she wrote this at 34, and she realizes now, like 2 decades later, she doesn't need the love, the sex, the food, the pleasure. She needs the spirituality, the spirit, the connection to what her version of God is. So I don't know. I just felt like that was a very interesting perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think to go back to what you were saying, I think the other piece to this is by saying it's okay to travel solo, I think there was also this tacit kind of permission slip for women to pursue their own happiness, right? Which sounds like no big deal, but culturally right? We talk about that all the time on this podcast. Like that still to this day. That is not something people celebrate for sure.
No, because traditionally, think about it, our lives as women, and especially for mothers, they're pretty narrow as far as, these are the roles we have. This is what we do. We take care of the people. And so I think, her book just really opened that up. It made things wider for women. It's like, I do want to focus on my pleasure. I do want to go to Italy and just eat a shit ton of pasta. Or I want to go have a great love adventure, or, just whatever it is, just kind of opened things up, I think, for women in midlife who aren't used to considering themselves at all, actually.
Yep. I remember, God, I don't know how many years ago this was, maybe 10. I had it with my family. Everybody was just out of control, and I was just freaking done with all of them. And I was just like, that's
done
it.
With you.
Oh, no. I was like, I am out of here. I am leaving. I don't know when I'm coming back, but I'm leaving. And I got in the car and I left and I just drove. And I was like, okay, do I want to go stay at a hotel? And I was gone for a good maybe couple hours because I also wanted to make them sweat at that point too. I was just like, I have to get out of here and they need to understand that I'm serious. And I came back. My husband was like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, why? He's like, well, we were worried about you. I'm like, well, thank God.
Stop getting on my nerves.
Oh my God. I was just like, I am done with you people. I am out.
That's funny. So my mom did that. She did that. I was in high school, so this was in the 80s. But she was gone for 7 days to Puerto Vallarta by herself. She was done.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
No, she was dead. And at the time, I was like, that's weird. Why is mom going on this vacation by herself? Not taking her husband.
And now you're like, oh, girl, of course.
And come to find out, she was having marital problems with my stepdad. And so it all kind of made sense. But I have this picture of her with this big sombrero on, and she's just sipping a margarita. And I'm like, yes, queen. Yes.
Oh, God. And we've talked about this, right? Just the idea that, okay, you do the career, you do the marriage, it's all stable, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, wait, what? I'm not happy. I don't know what's going on. Like, so.
Yeah, and I think Elizabeth Gilbert's book made it okay to question that. It made it okay to, to look at whatever's happening in your life. And if you're not happy, to look into that and to freaking admit it.
Yeah.
Not just push it down or brush it under the rug or just say, oh, that's just how it is, or I should be grateful, or...
Yeah. No. And I don't even think she's saying, like, just go to Italy, although, why not? We know someone that's done that. But, just the idea of really just putting the world on pause and asking, is this something I really want,
Yeah, for sure. So then, I know you didn't see the movie, but the movie came out in 2010 with Julia Roberts.
It was Javier Bardem, right? Played
the
guy. I love him. Love him.
Potty patati. Oh, yes. It was so good. So then her story reached an even wider audience.
Yeah. So then, full-blown pop culture moment, and here we go.
And then suddenly everybody knew the story, even people like me who never read the book.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it, right? It's hard not to look and get eye candy from visuals of Italy and India and Bali.
And then tourism rose in those places after that.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yes.
Yeah. They were probably just, I bet you there were some intrepid islander in Indonesia that was like, oh, I'm going to start like a dating service, like the Eat, Pray, Love dating service. So it was just like, check in here and I'll see who I can hook you up with, right? Like, somebody did that. Blah.
Actually, I like that premise. Not that specifically, but like we kind of said earlier, we're going to talk about what would be our own version of an Eat, Pray, Love. Like if somebody wanted to, if there were 3 things that they really wanted to find in life, where would they want to find it? And what would those 3 things be?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we need to look into that.
Yeah. I definitely think the Maldives would be on my list, and just like no contact with cell phone or anything for a few days at the very least. Just me and some ocean and somebody bringing my food in. I could get used to that.
That sounds pretty good.
Yep. But it has not been all pasta and romantic interludes. The book has also faced some criticism.
Yeah, something that people call priv-lit.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Apparently it is. Literature about self-discovery that relies on financial privilege. Fair.
Yeah, like we talked about in the beginning. Not everybody can just take off for a year and travel around the world.
Yeah, and that's a fair point for sure. But I don't know if what's the word I want to say, wipes away the whole idea though too.
Correct. Just because you can't travel to all these wonderful places, it doesn't mean that you can't do something else. You could replicate it in some other way. But I think the underlying message that it's okay to reevaluate your life. It's okay to take a step back and say, what do I need? Where are things just not working out for me? And just have the courage, like the women that we talked about in our Moving Abroad episode, right? We talked about how we're just, as women, we think, okay, we're just going to check off all these boxes, right? The husband, the kid, the house, the mortgage, and then that's it. You're supposed to be happy. And then guess what? We do that and we're like, something doesn't feel right. And to have the courage to look at that and find out what needs to shift.
Yeah, so I think the bottom line is what people really connected with was the emotional journey, even if they couldn't buy a plane ticket somewhere. I mean, it's nice, right? But just the process of stopping and evaluating, I think, was really kind of the sea change, right? It wasn't, they weren't trying to tell everybody to go buy plane tickets. It was more about the reevaluating piece.
Yeah, and I think just normalizing also that, probably most women who are in their 40s or 50s or beyond could write some sort of a memoir or something about things, shit just kind of going sideways or things just not working out, the way that we thought.
Yep, for sure. So this article, again, I'll put it in the show notes, was really interesting because they interviewed her and it talked about like how she reflects on the book now, which is interesting.
I thought this was really cool. The success, and it's still having success. Like this book and this movie are still making money for her.
Yep.
And so it's given her financial independence and creative freedom. So she can basically do whatever the fuck she wants.
What's cool about it is she's using that platform to support other artists, which is great. So especially women through things like artist residencies, creative initiatives, all that. So it's pretty cool that she's giving back because she certainly didn't have to.
Yeah, she has, I don't know how many. I mean, she has for sure one property. Maybe it's just one. I don't know if it's more than that. But like basically, I don't know if you rent it out. I don't know if she gives it away. I don't know how it works. But if you're a writer or maybe some other kind of creative, you get to just go there and be creative and do your art and write your book or do your thing. But yeah, I just thought that was so cool. Like so full circle moment.
Yeah. And the idea that a story was written and now what's come out of that is it's then nourishing other creators and supporting them.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
Okay, so serious question. If you were doing your own Eat, Pray, Love year, what would it look like?
Well, I think I'd start with the Maldives because I would need some time to detox from life in general. So
what would your 3 words be? Would it be
oh God, nap. Nap would be one of them. Nap, peace, love would probably be in there somewhere as well. What about you?
I would probably do something tropical, like a Tahiti situation, maybe the Maldives, I don't know, maybe Bali. And that would be like rest and connection.
Yep.
Self-connection. I would definitely love to do somewhere in the UK, Ireland. I love London, Scotland. I just feel like, I don't know what draws me to that, actually. I don't know what my word for that would be.
Have you seen Stonehenge?
No.
That's pretty cool. Talk about like making yourself small in the universe and thinking about that. That was pretty cool. It was one of my favorite things.
Okay. It's on my list. And then, love. I think self-love and then love of others for sure. And Italy would be a great place to do. I mean, Italy is just fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's so many places I don't know about.
I know.
Like, I would love to go to Vietnam. Like, there's just a lot of different places. So this is really tough. This is harder than I thought.
Well, and I think I've told you about this. Like, my fantasy / plan is to retire on a cruise ship and like run my business out of a cruise ship and my condo on the cruise ship and just like go everywhere. And then when I'm old, I'm just like see the world from my balcony if I can't get off the ship, like have the world come to me. Like that to me would be amazing. We're going to go on another one of our Autism on the Seas cruise this summer. We start in Spain and then I think it's France and Italy. So definitely like whistle stop tour, but there'll be some cool stuff with that. And then I talked about this on our Valentine's episode last year, I want to say. My husband and I have booked that cruise to the Adriatic to celebrate our 20th anniversary. So I'm super excited because I've been to Venice and that side, but I haven't been to Croatia. So we're going to do that. And I'm super stoked about that.
So something I found out when I was looking into, talking about this today is her publisher put together a book, and it's called Eat, Pray, Love Made Me Do It: Life Journeys Inspired by the Best-Selling Memoir. So I thought that was fun too.
That's
just
cool.
just a bunch of different women and how Eat, Pray, Love really inspired them.
So is it like a blog or what?
No, I think it's a book.
Oh, okay.
They put together everybody's different stories about how Eat, Pray, Love impacted them and what they did. And I don't know if they're all travel related. I'm thinking they are, but I don't know. But I thought that'd be fun to look into. I thought that was cute.
I mean, again, I don't think the privilege aspect can be understated enough, for sure. But I also feel like get out of your own county, for God's sakes. Like, I get it, right? I get it. But just like drive over to the next town, like drive over to the next state, like just do something. Because, I mean, and Anthony Bourdain used to talk about that in his show. And, that whole thing was devastating. But he talked about how, getting out of your own space and going into someone else's space and culture and things was just the most mind-broadening thing that you could do, that just stretches your comfort zone, helps you relate to other people, even if you don't understand them. And I do think that piece of travel is really, people don't talk about that as much, And again, I get the privilege aspect of it. I really, really do. But again, just freaking go over to the next town. Just get out of your space.
It doesn't have to be luxury travel.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and he finds a way, and granted, he does it on a budget, but it can be done. But something that Elizabeth Gilbert said is like, she's just trying to get people off the couch.
Yes.
Like kind of similar to what you're saying about Anthony Bourdain. It's like, she's just trying to get people, to go out and see things, like whether it's in Italy or the next town over.
And I do think, I mean, I'm certainly guilty of this. I go in my hole, especially when the weather is crap here. And it's like, I don't leave the house for days because I work at home. If I'm not traveling, I'm here. And it's very easy to just like, we can get food delivered. Like you can literally like not move from your house. And I think the pandemic made us get used to that in a lot of ways. Like we didn't have a choice. So I think that now it's more of an effort to be like, okay, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to try something new. And I think that really is kind of the seed of all of it. And just, the whole, like, if you keep doing the same thing that you're doing, you're going to get the same results kind of thing.
Right. And like life is short. Like we're not here that long. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's scary to get out of our comfort zones and experience new things. But like we talked about in our, moving abroad episode, it doesn't have to be huge things at first. Just start with little things. Get out of your comfort zone in little ways. And then that'll help you build up to the big ways.
Yep. I remember when we were thinking about going overseas, our kids were tiny. My daughter was, not even a year old. And I won't get into the whole story, but basically we were going to teach abroad. And so we interviewed to do it. And we got job offers from this school in Zimbabwe. My dad was just like, well, don't expect me to visit you, And everybody's like, are you out of your mind? And, both of us had spent time in Iran when we were younger, right? So like we've been pushed out of our comfort zone. We had foreign parents in the sense that they weren't from the area that we were necessarily from. Well, my husband did. I think my parents just traveled a bit. But we were like, what the hell? I mean, it wasn't like we were going off to Zimbabwe with nothing. Like we were in an international school and they had a community and this and that, the other. And it didn't work out. But I tell you what, like those experiences I could never replicate for my kids. Right. And then India was kind of a disaster as well. But I might have done it differently. We might have researched the schools a little bit differently. But I think that you have to experience, like in Zimbabwe, it wasn't like there was Target. Right? Like you couldn't just, like diapers were like $1 a diaper, I mean, there were very real things that you had to deal with. But at the same time, like it was beautiful, like the animal life and the birds. And oh my Lord, we had this gorgeous 5-acre, it was an acre of land, 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. And, I had a maid and a nanny and a gardener. Are you kidding? Sign me freaking up. And we would go on these safaris and stuff. I mean, it's amazing. Like, when the heck else am I going to do that? Like, it's not like it's something that you just kind of do. And so, it's funny because years later when my son, like, oh, we're going to the Portland Zoo on a field trip. And he'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, dude, do not let it out that you saw lions in the wild, okay? Because your social cred will just plummet at that point. Yes, you did. Yes, you're very fortunate that you did, but that is not like currency for the playground. But again, my kids got to experience stuff that's really unusual. Like they were the only white kids. My daughter was the only white kid in her preschool. I can't replicate that here, or that experience, and they have knowledge of things that not necessarily most kids do. So that piece I will always be grateful for that we expose them to. So I think it's really just about, and not to go down the political rabbit hole, but I do feel like, especially in this country right now, we are really stuck inside our own head and our own views. People will die on that beach. Their vision, their beliefs, their whatever, right? And not that you shouldn't have beliefs, but I think this idea of walking even 10 minutes in someone else's shoes has just really died a death. People just aren't interested in like seeing what makes other people tick or why they might believe that way. It's just becoming more and more divided. And so I think we've lost the muscle to do that in a lot of ways. And I think travel comes under that umbrella. I don't know. That was a long rant.
But that's like a catch-22 because travel is the thing that makes you, that opens your eyes to that. Like travel is the thing that makes you understand, that somebody living in a little shanty in Panama is literally just a human like you.
Yep.
They're literally just trying to, feed their families and, live a life. I agree. I think the concept of like patriotism has overshadowed people being able to like look at other people's way of life or where they're from and how we might be similar versus the ways we're different.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
I want to know from the listeners, if you could have your own Eat, Pray, Love experience, we want to know what it would be. So we want you to message us. Slide in our DMs on Instagram, or
go to the website, drinkswiththegirlspodcast.com. That's really the easiest thing to do because you can get a hold of us in any way, shape, or form on that.
drinkswiththegirlspodcast.com. Send us a message. Tell us what your Eat, Pray, Love experience would look like, where you want to go.
So I'm going to put this link to the article, a couple articles about it in the show notes, but it's really kind of cool because it talks about a lot of these women that contributed to the book and just others that have written in what their journeys are. And it's pretty cool in terms of what people did and kind of how they did it and why they wanted to do it. And just this idea of like making a change or doing something different, essentially.
I think there's this expectation that you have to have it all figured out. Like when you're in your 30s, by 35, you have to have it all figured out. And guess what? It's a journey. Like I don't think anybody's ever has it all figured out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Do you think people have it figured out? I don't know.
I think when you're older, you're certainly wiser. I mean, if by it you mean I know exactly what I want to do and how to do everything. No, I don't think anybody ever has that part figured out for sure. But I do think older, wiser, you get much better at knowing yourself and you get much better at making better choices, I guess would be the best way to go about it. But I think you also have to make room for the just like, I'm just going to go for it. Everything on paper does not seem like this is going to add up, but I'm just going to do it because I want to do it, And that's a choice in and of itself too.
Well, those are the best sometimes when you're just like, what's that saying? YOLO? YOLO. You'll YOLO it.
What does this stand for? I don't know.
You only live once.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, we talked about that with what Lindsey Vonn said, right? It's like here she broke herself on a mountain and everybody's trying to like wag their finger on her. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I went for it. That was great,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of it, right? So as we move into takeaways, it's this idea that you're allowed to question the life you built. Like, I think that, and I know Karen's talked about that being really a core part of her story, of just thinking that, oh, you have so much, you're not allowed to question it. Like, it's rude or you're being ungrateful or whatever. Like, no, you're allowed to question things. It's not, your life doesn't deserve blind loyalty just because. I don't understand that, right? And like, I'm on my, I don't know, third career at this point, fourth career, something like that, right? I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to change my mind, right? And just because it's an expected path, sometimes I think we don't stop to ask if it's actually making us happy. Megan Elkins said this in our episode about living abroad, and she talked about, she was a Wall Street banker, and she was like, I just got to the point where they did a survey at work about like, oh, are you happy in your job? And she was like, I did not come across looking great in that. She goes, because frankly, I wasn't happy in my job. And that was kind of part of that process for me. So I do think that we need to give ourselves permission to question that. And it's not a bad thing. And we're not burning our freaking life down and like flying to Bali, right? It just reflect, like, that's okay.
And I think it's so hard for women to do, though, because like those boxes we talked about, like
Totally.
we've been socialized to be like, look, if you have a great husband and if you have 2.5 kids and you have the car in the driveway and the picket fence, then you should, that word, be happy. And when women aren't happy, like I wasn't, like I had all that. I had the good guy and the great kids and the house and the car, and I still wasn't happy. And the amount of fucking guilt that goes along with that.
Yep.
So being able to push through the guilt, to work through the guilt, on the other side of that is where you can find your joy. But man, you have to go through a lot. You have to unwind from a lot of social conditioning and just, things that we were always told would make us happy, but maybe they don't.
So let me ask you a question. I don't know that I've ever asked you this before. Do you feel like you changed who you were to fit in that box? Or do you feel like, I mean, I guess it's a little bit of everything. Like, you rediscovered who you were? Like, do you feel like you had to make a conscious choice not to be who you were to be in that life?
No, I was still who I was, but I was shape-shifting to be that person. Like, I convinced myself, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what is supposed to make me happy. This is what women do. They get married, they have kids, they may or may not have a job, and then that's it. And so for me, it wasn't so much of, not being who I was. It was just turning the sound down on parts of myself in order to just be who I thought I was supposed to be.
Do you feel like that got amplified when your kids moved out and then all of a sudden it was like...
I mean, it didn't get amplified per se, always in the back. I mean, I was unhappy for years and years. And I knew. I mean, it ended up being the typical cliche, and that just makes me cringe every time I think about it or talk about it. But I knew that when my kids went to college, if things hadn't changed, there was no way we were going to survive.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Because, I mean, I was just wildly unhappy, and my attempts to become happy in the relationship were not met with agreement. So I had to make a choice, and it was not an easy choice at all. Like the worst. I mean, it's hard to say worst time in my life because, but
I also think like it's, and that's the thing really, right? I think we don't like to poke under that rock or buy that plane ticket or question stuff, right? Because we're afraid of whatever's underneath the rock or whatever's on the other side, right? And it, just because we do that doesn't mean there isn't going to be some scary shit that happens, right? But at the same time, it doesn't mean we shouldn't look under the rock, if that makes sense, That is literally what keeps women from working with me with coaching, because they are so afraid that if they even say these things out loud, that if they even start questioning or even saying, oh, wow, what would make me happy? That they're afraid that they are going to have to blow their whole life up, right? Yeah. And so that keeps them stuck in unhappy situations. And it's very common. Yeah. That makes me sad. Yeah.
Me too.
So try something new on the menu. You don't have to like blow up your marriage or like buy a ticket to Bali. Like, how about just like eat something different,
Eat some caviar.
Small. Think small.
Oh, takeaway number 2. Small resets matter. So to Lisa's point, it doesn't have to, we're not going somewhere crazy on a big vacation, but just do something small because not everyone can take a year off and travel around the world. But you can create smaller moments to reconnect with yourself. Like, what are some things you do during the day that you really don't want to do anymore that you could give up, right? And replace that with something else, something better. It might be a solo weekend trip. Maybe it's a new hobby. Maybe it's therapy or journaling or just carving out your own time. Maybe you just want to go sit and ponder your navel under your oak tree for 30 minutes a day. Whatever it is, small resets matter.
Yeah, for sure. Number 3, joy is not a luxury. So I think one of the reasons that especially the Italy portion really resonated with a lot of people is it focused on the pleasure of good food, laughter, slowing down. I mean, like the Italians and the Spanish, like the siesta, Europe in general, like they take all of August off. Like people would have a heart attack if we did that over here. They're, I think embedded in that culture is really like, it is okay to live your life and to rest when you need to rest. And we do not do a good job of that over here at all. Like that is seen as lazy, as like not, you got to grind. I mean, what is it? Elon Musk like said he was going to fire a bunch of people that weren't working. I mean, it is not a value that's celebrated. Let's put it that way.
No. But the other thing that I love when we were in Italy, a 2-hour meal. When you go to a restaurant, they're not going to be hurrying you out because they know you might sit there for 2 hours because, your friends or your family might come and join you.
Yep.
And I feel like here we're eating to like get on to the next thing. It's like, you'd scarf down a lunch or you scarf down a meal. Whereas over there, it's the connection. It's eating and it's enjoying this delicious food, but it's also connecting with people. And
absolutely. When I waited tables, I mean, it was always like, okay, you need to get more table turns. That was the thing. Like, we got to turn the tables more, blah, 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 more money, more people, blah, blah, blah. It was not a leisurely type of thing that they wanted to have happen, for sure.
Yeah. I think the U.S. could learn from Europe in
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Takeaway number 4, growth. It looks different on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, what growth looks like on me is going to look different than what it looks like on Lisa and what looks like on our listeners. We all get to it in different ways. Some people, it is travel. Some it's connections and relationships. Some it's creativity. I have one of my best girlfriends right now. She's totally reinventing herself and she is literally becoming an artist. Like she is becoming an artist before my eyes. I've watched her over the past couple of years. What used to be like this little hobby or something she was like, oh, this is fun. And now she's like becoming this artist and it's amazing.
That's cool.
And I'm here for it. But there's no single formula for figuring yourself out.
Yep. And finally, takeaway number 5, it is never too late to reinvent yourself. I hope we are living proof of that because my gosh, if you told me 5 years ago, hey, let's start a podcast, I would have been like, what? And here we are, right? And we have so much fun. And I think that the reason that the Eat, Pray, Love still resonates is because so many people reach that moment where they're like, is this really what I want? Like, how did I get here in this handbasket? And like, what happened? And it's okay. It's okay to question that. I mean, when we did this podcast, we just kind of fell into it. Like, it was like, well, let's see what happens, right? And here we are. I mean, it's crazy time, really.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that question, is this the life I really want? This podcast is permission. Not only is Eat, Pray, Love permission, but this podcast is also permission for you to question and ask that of yourself and your life. And that the answer that you find can just lead to a whole new chapter. And you don't know what that might be, but wouldn't it be so exciting to find out? So we would love to hear from you. If you want to create, or maybe you've already done your own version of the Eat, Pray, Love situation, but what would your 3 words be?
Yeah. Well, I said nap. Nap is one of them, that's for sure.
Eat, nap, hydrate.
Well, hydrate to me, like, yes, I should do it, So I don't know if I want to put that on my like list of pleasures,
Well, I think hydrate is the umbrella for like all the things, getting
like,
8
take
hours
care of yourself.
Taking care of yourself, exactly. Like eating good things and, not smash burgers 3 nights a week.
Although.
Yeah, I know. I tell you, ever since, listeners, I'm not sure if you know, but my father passed away Super Bowl Sunday. And so I've just been kind of in the thick of it, but we have been eating like absolute crap because, I mean, you thought I didn't like cooking before? Holy mackerel. I'm like, and Tony, God bless him. I'm like, peanut butter and jelly for dinner. Sorry, babe. But yeah, we've been eating too many smash burgers, unfortunately. Gotta get back on track.
There's a time and a season for smash burgers. Well, listeners, I hope you guys send us your Eat, Pray, Love word analogies or trips or whatever, but we really love to hear about that from you guys. Like, slide into our DMs or email us. We don't get enough email these days, and we would love to see kind of what's up with you guys and what you're doing for sure.
And how often do you ever hear that? We don't get enough emails these days. So we're not saying that to everybody, just our
you.
Special listeners.
Just you.
But thank you.
Wells Fargo, no.
Yeah, no thank you, Wells Fargo. But thank you, listeners, for hanging out with us today. We just appreciate you, and we don't take for granted that your time is precious, and we just appreciate you letting us, spend this time with you.
Yeah, so you know where to find us, drinkswiththegirlspodcast.com. And yeah, I'm going to just say cheers and save us from ourselves. Cheers.
Cheers.